It's November 22nd. We're down here on our southern public land unit. We're at the dry river spot. It's only a couple days after rifle season has ended here in Nebraska. In order to get here, you have to cross this dry river twice. And that's a lot of work to go through. We gotta put oysters on 2 separate times. And like I mentioned with the rifle hunters, we don't think anybody has come back this far. And there's kind of a ridge that runs right back behind the cameraman right here. It's like really the only elevation change that there is. So the bucks like to bed right on that elevation change. We found a buck bed here. I think that was early September. Last time we were in here, we had that buck come out to the tip of this island here and make a rub. So hopefully maybe he'll come back or a different buck will come back. But that just tells us that the bucks feel safe back here, because it was probably 9:30 or so when he was back here moving around. So we think the bucks are going to cruise probably on the opposite side of this dry river if they're cruising looking for does, or on that little ridge behind the cameraman where there's quite a big trail that we know the deer are using if they're checking for does. So we're going to sit back and see what happens.
You hear that? Back there?
Yeah, there's something over here. Deer.
Where at?
Right there.
Okay, you're gonna have to move back. I can't see him.
Yeah.
It's pretty big, dude.
Zoom in. Might be a small buck.
Dude, nice buck. Shoot.
Run at it.
Yep. He heard it. Do it again.
Hit him again and don't worry about it.
No, don't worry about it. He's coming this way, kind of. He's on the other side of the river.
Just a little bucky.
Yeah. You don't like the ice?
No.
Stay to your right.
Well, we're about to climb down now. It's a pretty chilly morning, so I think we got about all the sitting in we could. Had a nice buck come out earlier in the morning, walk across the river, go around the end of that island, and then maybe half hour ago, had a smaller buck come out and do just about the same thing. He crossed through the island though, and then just had a doe come down and get a drink as well. So a pretty good morning to see some bucks moving. It's one of the main things on public land, especially during the late season. The rut's still going on a little bit, but as it winds down, the bucks are going to go to where they feel comfortable, where they haven't been pressured all year. And that's what we key in on in the late season, and it looks like we found that spot here. what we think happened with that encounter with all those bucks is that when we were standing there checking out those beds, we heard something get up, run through the trees, and hit that dry river, hit the water that was in there. And what we think happened is that we might have bumped a doe or a couple does, and once those does got bumped, those bucks were then just looking for their does again. So that's why they were going back and forth, is they were trying to find those does that we had bumped out of there. And in that situation, it's important to remember to get set up as soon as you can, because we almost had a shot on that big buck that we first seen, and on those two little ones, and a couple more times when they came back we had almost had some shots on them. So it's important to remember, because in that situation, if you bump a doe and there's a buck with it, that buck's going to come back and try to find that doe. So our plan going forward now, I mentioned we needed to pinpoint that location, and we happened to stumble upon that. We thought that's the direction we needed to go anyways, and it turns out it was. So we took the tree stands down, they're at the base of that tree. Tomorrow we're going to get up super early, go in. We identified a couple trees while we were in there right before we left, so we know right where we need to go, what trees we can and can't put tree stands in. That way we're not screwing around and making any extra noise. We're going to go in tomorrow, hang the tree stands in the morning, sit and wait right on that transition line. We wouldn't have seen those bucks from our tree stand had we not happened to get down to look at those beds that were like 30 yards away. So the rut is kind of on the backside, so we're getting aggressive here on public land. When I seen that big buck earlier on the river stand, he came back the next day, and if I was aggressive enough, I should have been there. I should have moved the stand, I should have sat on the ground, and I would have got a shot at him. So we know those bucks are in there, we know there's quite a few bucks in there, so this time we're getting aggressive. We took those stands down, hang and hunt tomorrow morning. Let's hope it works out. Well, it's November 23rd, Thanksgiving morning. We came in early this morning, got these tree stands hung right where we seen those bucks moving yesterday morning. It looks really good in here. We can see really far, right on the edge of a little transition line. So we've been sitting this morning for probably an hour or so. Haven't seen anything, haven't heard anything, but it was a little bit later in the morning when we seen them yesterday. So hopefully that's the pattern again today, and we get at least a couple bucks to come through, at least one to come through. So we'll sit for another hour or two and see what comes in.
You just lay down. Well, right now, our interviews must be the trick, because we just got done doing an interview yesterday and we seen bucks. We just got done today. Had a doe come in from the south. She's bedded down 30 yards from us, and we heard something behind her, and a buck came in. I got a glimpse of him kind of through the trees here. He might be 35 yards away. Seen him bed down too. Couldn't tell exactly what he was. So we're definitely in the right spot when you have deer bedding all around you. So we're going to continue to sit here now, obviously, because we can't move. But see if anything else comes in.
Well, we had another good morning. Right after we got done doing that interview, we had 2 bucks come in, or we had a doe come in, and she laid down. And then we had those 2 bucks come in, and they ended up pushing that doe, getting her up, and there was another doe back there with her. And we also had a buck come and bed down right over here. And then after that, it was pretty much non-stop action. I kind of lost count of what we saw. There was a couple small bucks over there, and we had another buck come in right behind us. Had 2 does come in, work right here, and literally bed 15 yards from us. And then they eventually got up and worked their way off. We just had a small doe come in here just a little while ago. So it's been a pretty good deer movement. All the deer that we've seen have been coming from the south and kind of working their way north. So we think now we have found the right spot, and it appears that way this morning. We just need the big bucks to show up. There was 2 in here yesterday. Didn't see any of them today. A bunch of smaller bucks, younger bucks. So we'll sit for a little while longer, see if one of those big bucks isn't up cruising here in the middle of the day. Our old tree stand is probably only 100 yards from here. I can't pick out the tree, but if the tree stands were still in it, I could probably see the tree stands, maybe. But where all these deer were this morning, if we were in those tree stands, had we not moved them this morning, got up early, to put in the extra work to move them, we wouldn't have probably seen any deer this morning. Well, we did a hang hunt this morning. It worked out exactly how we thought it would. We seen a bunch of younger bucks and does. That big buck never showed up. We were waiting for him. Never happened. But a good morning, lots of movement. It's obvious that's a bedding area. It's a place we want to focus on here going forward, but not hunt it too hard. But that's a good spot. Glad we found it, and I can't wait to get back down here soon.